but you can't run the school system in Iowa from Washington DC. Well, we'll do it early next year, and the board piece, that'll be one of the most legendary boards ever. Everybody wants to be on it. It's mostly gonna be, I guess, we weren't thinking about it that way, but they want to hold it. Basically, it'll be the head of the most important. They all want to be on. It wasn't really planned, we thought we'd get rid of people. But really, it looks like it's turning out to be, they want to be on the heads of the kings. Presidents, prime ministers, they all want to be on it. No, the word that they use is a hoax, because they're the ones that cause. I'm talking to you, pretty simple on those. It's a hoax where they created the problem. They're the ones that created the high prices. So when they use the word affordability, they shouldn't be using that word, because they're the ones that created this problem. They created the highest inflation in history, and they created the highest prices in history. And now, we have to get those. Example, when they go, they look and they say affordability. They never discuss it, they just say the election's about affordability. Well, it may very well be. I think it's also about still before you have to remember the job. The sad thing is, for 7 months, we've had no people come to our board. Nobody can even believe it. Zero people. And the people that do that are largely Democrats, which the people that do the stats. We've had no people coming, other than coming in legally. But if you take a look, and nobody wants to talk about them. In fact, last night I said, let me talk about the border. My own people told me, sir, nobody cares about the border anymore. You fix the problem. I said, do I get a little credit for fixing a disaster where millions of people a month would flow into our country, and from prisons and from gangs and from drug dealers and mental institutions? They say, sir, when you fix the border, nobody cares. I say, but I care. It's sad when you fix something and you can't even use it. You can't talk about it. My own people don't want to talk about it anymore. But very simply, the Democrats created the worst crisis of inflation that this country's ever had. And with that came the highest prices that we've ever had. And I'm fixing it.
Mr. President, has Secretary Hexon told you why he hasn't released the video of the second strike?
No, I thought that issue was dead. It's presently, you must be CNN.
Lawmakers are still talking about it on the Hill.
Do you see it?
And we see it. But lawmakers are still talking about it on the Hill.
Well, I'll tell you, I don't know about lawmakers. Which lawmakers you talking about?
Mostly Democrats are talking about trying to release it.
I mean, the people that you work for, the Democrats. You work for the Democrats. Basically, you're on with the Democratic Party. Thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you guys. You're welcome. Officers, please keep going. Thanks, Kristen.
It's just what I'm saying.
Treat smarter, sleep deeper, recover faster. Please take charge of 2+ days. One gift, better health.
The best party games are vibe relatable, incoherent, where total nonsense suddenly makes sense.
But it's right.
Congratulations, you've done a great job. CEO of Stellantis, Antonio Filosa. Thank you very much. Chairman of the National Automobile Dealers Association, Tom Castrino.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, Tom. Good to have you. And Manager, General Motors, Orient Plant, John Urbanek.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Great to have you guys here. I'm going to say a few words in a minute about how ridiculous this was, but we've just freed you up. So you're going to have a good day, have a good number of years. Thanks as well to Senators Shelley Moore Capito, Ted Cruz, Kevin Cramer, Marcia Blackburn, Eric Schmidt, and Bernie Marino, as well as Representatives Sam Graves, Vern Buchanan, Mike Kelly, Roger Williams, Lisa McLean, and Troy Balderson. All great people. These are great people. And I know there's a lot of support going beyond the people that are here. You had tremendous support on this. From day one, I've been taking action to make buying a car more affordable. I signed an executive order to end the unfair, expensive electric vehicle mandate. As you know, we had to have an electric car within a very short period of time, even though there was no way of charging them and lots of other things. It would have cost $5 trillion to build the charging plants. And as you know, in certain parts of the Midwest, they spent, to build 9 chargers, they spent $8 billion. So that wasn't working out too well. That was done before me, by the way. I wouldn't have let it go forward. We're canceling the EPA's observed tailpipe emission standards. One of the most important things that I've never had a group of people come to me more powerfully and really just devastated that they had to do it. It was killing them than the automobile manufacturers, the tailpipe emission standards. And I can tell you, your people at Ford were coming to me all the time and they were saying, like, please, it doesn't do anything, it's killing us. And it's driving the cost through the roof. And we revoked Biden's emissions waiver for California so that California communists could not regulate the automobile industry and ruin the entire nation of automobiles. And they were doing that too. But we have that now under control also with the governor who's got much more than he can control. Now, under the new rules being issued today by Secretary Duffy, the Department of Transportation will rescind the Biden fuel economy prices. And I hate to say that because they were really not economy, they were really, they were anti-economy. They were horrible what they were doing to the costs and actually making the car much worse. But these policies forced automakers to build cars using expensive technologies that drove up costs, drove up prices, and made the car much worse. The action is expected to save the typical consumer at least $1,000 off the price of a new car, and we think substantially more than that. Under the Trump administration, $70 billion are now being invested in the American auto industry. Ford has announced it will invest $5 billion across its Kentucky and Michigan plants. Is that a correct statement?
That's right.
That's a lot, $5 billion. We can do more. Creating at least 4,000 new jobs. Stellantis announced it will invest $13 billion to expand its U.S.-based manufacturing by more than 50% and open new manufacturing facilities across the country. And I think a big part of that is also the tariffs. Because of tariffs, they're coming in. Not only the automobile industry, AI, we're leading China in AI, we're leading everybody in AI, we're leading everybody in everything. We are the hottest country right now. I will tell you, a lot of political people behind me, great political people, very successful political people. We are the hottest country anywhere in the world. 1 year ago, we had a dead country, and now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. And it started from November 5th, but it also started when we did the tariffs, and we've had tremendous support on the tariffs. It's bringing in trillions of dollars of wealth. It's bringing in national security. And I've stopped 8 wars, and of the 8 wars, 5 of them have been because of tariffs and trade. So very important. And General Motors plans to invest $4 billion as it brings its manufacturing back to the United States or Mexico. After falling by 5% under Biden, U.S. auto production has surged by 10% so far this year. You know, I won the auto workers vote, but now even the head of the auto workers said Trump is the greatest president we've ever seen. And he happens to be right about that. But we're protecting our auto workers and we're making it easier for every family to afford high quality cars. In other words, we're bringing automobiles back and the manufacturing of automobiles back into this country. We lost 52% over the years, 52% of our automobile manufacturing. You see it, closed factories all over the place. Now they're all opening up. They're being, in most cases, they're being knocked down, and new ones are being built in their place. And a big beneficiary is the state of Michigan, but South Carolina, even states that didn't really do too much with the automobiles, they're opening up plants. It's been amazing. So between automobile plants, AI plants, and plants of every other nation, really every other type, including chips, we're going to have a big percentage of the chip market very soon. Not because of the CHIPS Act, which was horrible and ridiculous, where we just gave these companies billions and billions of dollars and just kept the money, but because of what we did with tariffs. They have to build here, otherwise they're going to have to pay tariffs and won't be able to do business in the United States. And we're going to have a big percentage of the chip industry. As of about a year ago, 2 years ago, we had none. And now we're going to have a very big percentage when it all finishes. So I'd like to ask Secretary Duffy to speak, and then Mr. Farley, and then Velosa, and Urbanik, and Castrita. And also, we're going to ask some of our political leaders to speak, because let me tell you, they went out of their way. This was not easy. The people were brainwashed. This is a green new scam. And people were paying too much for a car that didn't work as well. And now they're going to have a great car that's going to be environmentally friendly, but it's going to cost you a lot less, and it's going to work great. All of the nonsense is being taken out of the cars. So, Secretary Duffy, could you say?
Thank you, Mr. President. So yesterday at the cabinet meeting, the president was talking about affordability, and the way that Democrats talk about affordability is a lie. Today's a perfect example of that. So these CAFE standards used what was contrary to the law. The Congress set a rule that says you have to look at combustion engines. Biden and Buttigieg actually did an analysis using used EVs and hybrids to come up with a 62 mile an hour per gallon standard, which I think the car companies will tell you is completely unattainable. So they spend a lot of money on technology trying to meet the unattainable standard, driving up the cost of a car, number one. And then number two, if they couldn't meet the unattainable standard, they had to trade for carbon, costing billions of dollars, and again, driving up the price of the cars. So, Mr. President, what Democrats were doing, we're not making cars more affordable, they're making them less affordable. The consequence of that is going to be that more Americans can afford to buy a new car, which means they're going to be safer on the roads because of all the great new technology we have that save lives. So we'll have less death on American roads. These rules are going to allow automakers to make vehicles that Americans want to purchase, not vehicles that Joe Biden and Buttigieg want them to build, which is important. But also, this is important for American jobs. The more cars we sell, the more jobs we have in this country. And so this is jobs, this is freedom, and this is common sense, Mr. President. So thank you for your leadership. And I appreciate what the Senate did with the Big Beautiful Bill and what we've done here today. So thank you, Mr. President.
Big Beautiful Bill is something. It's amazing. When people see the benefits and the lower taxes, that they're going to have lower regulations. So, how about Ford?
Mr. President, Secretary, all the important lawmakers here, competitors, today is a victory of common sense and affordability. We're very proud of Ford to be the #1 auto producer in our country. 80% of the vehicles we sell here we make in our country. And we have unlike many of our competitors. We're the #1 exporter, and we have the most auto factory workers. And this CAFE standard that is aligned with customer demand is the right move for a lot of reasons. We were #2 last year in EV sales, we were #3 in hybrid, and we're the leading brand for combustion. We believe that people should be able to make a choice, as you said, Mr. President, and we will invest more in affordable vehicles. This allows us to invest in affordable vehicles made in the U.S., which we will take the lead on, and will allow us to make vehicles more affordable. So thank you for making this step for all of you.
Thank you very much. One of the other things we're doing is separate from this meeting, but I think everybody here would agree with it. If you go to Japan, where I just left, and if you go to South Korea, Malaysia, and other countries, they have a very small car, sort of like the Beetle used to be with the Volkswagen. They're very small, they're really cute. And I said, how would that do in this country? And everyone seems to think good, but you're not allowed to build them. And I've authorized the secretary to immediately approve the production of those cars. So you'll be able to buy, they really are, they're actually, some of them are really beautiful, actually. If you take a look, Honda, some of the Japanese companies do a beautiful job. But we're not allowed to make them in this country, and I think you're gonna do very well with those cars, so we're gonna improve those cars. Would you like to say something about that?
We also, just that he never stops working, so even when it's not Asian time, he's calling me at midnight in the States, but he gave me the directive to clear the regulations on this, which we have. And so if Toyota or any other company wants to make smaller, more affordable cars, fuel efficient, we have cleared the deck so they can make them in America and sell in America.
They're really nice and less expensive. It really gives people a chance to have a car, you know, have a brand new car as opposed to a car that maybe isn't so great. And so, you car companies start thinking about that. I think it's going to be a tremendous market. Please, would you like to say something?
Thank you, Mr. President. It's a great day for us at Stellantis today, because it's the day where we see CAFE regulation reconciled with real customers' demand. That's why at Stellantis we decided to invest to Jeep, Ram, Dodge, and Chrysler $13 million in the next 4 years, increasing production by 50%, delivering to the market 5 new vehicles, and creating 5,000 additional jobs. That's because we believe in what you, Secretary Duffy, and all your team is doing in this country. We believe in growth, and we're ready to invest even more. So thank you very much. Thank you very much also for this great news of the K-cars, which we are very interested in. And we are very looking forward to work with Secretary Duffy, your team, in the future for the next steps. Thank you very much.
We'll get ready for those cars because we've already cleared the way. You can start right away.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Please.
Mr. President, thank you so much for having me. We support your leadership for this industry. I'm here representing the hard-working men and women of Boeing Assembly in Michigan. The facility, our manufacturing facility there is currently going through a retool so that we can build additional U.S. manufactured pickup trucks and full-size sport utilities for our customers, and we're so excited about that. And thank you for your support. Secretary Duffy, thank you as well.
And this is largely coming in because of the tariff situation. We're taking in trillions of dollars, actually, trillions, and we have so many other advantages, but these great companies are coming back to the United States. They left the United States. If somebody was sitting behind this desk and knew what they were doing, that wouldn't have happened. They would have said, well, you can send your car here, but we're going to put 100% tariff, and you would have never had the auto industry. Again, we lost more than 50% of our auto industry. It's all coming back, and I think it's coming back. Ultimately, it's going to be bigger. I believe it's going to be bigger than it was before, actually. But it's an honor to have you here, and please, would you like to say something? Thank you very much.
Tom Campbell, chairman of the National Automobile Dealers, I represent 18,000 dealers in the country, along with 3,000 heavy-duty truck dealers. And what the actions that you've done as the president and your administration is definitely going to save our customers money. And you made your promises that let the consumer buy what they want, sir, and you delivered on that. And the other thing that you delivered was your promise in the big beautiful bill, the tax deduction on loans that had gone away some years ago. Now that makes it affordable for our buyers that can save money through that loan of the tax, anywhere from several hundred to several thousand. So again, sir, on behalf of all the dealers and our customers, we appreciate what you and your administration have done, and of course our legislative support as well, Mr. President.
Thank you. That's very nice. And I'm glad you brought that up. We're allowing people to deduct. So if you go out and buy a car, and this is for middle income, but for lower income, no matter what, they never really had deductions. You know, rich people like deductions, but middle income people were never really afforded deductions, which is very unfair. You borrow money to buy a car, you're allowed to deduct the interest from your income tax. And I think that's going to be one of the most, in terms of your industry, I think it's going to be the biggest thing that we're talking about, maybe even bigger than CAFE standards. People are going to be able to borrow money, deduct it, so it's going to cost them essentially half. And they'll be,
It'll help, yes, sir.
I think it's going to be a tremendous factory. They've never had a chance to do that before. And that's all done, that's all in the great big beautiful bill. So it's really terrific. I'd like to ask a couple of our political leaders to say, because you guys have done an amazing job. This was something that was gonna be very tough. We had to fight lunatics to get it done, and they had no answers. You know, it's you just present them with the facts, and they just say, well, we're just not gonna vote for it. They couldn't talk about it, but they didn't wanna vote. I see Mike Kelly, my friend back there, who's been with me from day one, right?
Yep.
What do you have to say, Mike?
But you know what, I think you hear everybody's talking about the same thing. In America,
Look at the way they like each other. See, there's no hatred between these two guys.
as long as I mean it's Christ. The American people always be able to choose what they want to buy. They don't want to be taken out of the market by people who, quite frankly, don't even drive their own car and saying, this is the way you've got to go going into the future, and saying, well, you can say that, but you're not in the market, you have no idea. And I know the business we're in, at the end of the day, if you were there with me, I'd say, so Mr. President, other than price, what's keeping you from taking the car home today? It's always price. The fact that we can build a car that's affordable, that people want to buy, that's the key to it. What you've done is unlock the most ridiculous statute that ever came in with CAFE. It wasn't done by the Congress. It wasn't done. It was done by President Obama after the courts failed on it. So thank you for doing what you're doing. You're making America great again in every single way. Thank you.
Thank you. It's gonna be so big for the auto manufacturers. People aren't even gonna believe the impact. You know, Mike used to come to my rallies all the time, and we'd have a rally, and it was like 0 degrees, it was freezing, and he'd sit there without a shirt on. And I didn't need that, you know. I didn't say it was pretty, but I sat there in that cold, and he didn't mind it at all. I said, that's one tough cookie.
You know, we didn't need it.
We had a good time, we had a lot of great rallies.
We did.
Pennsylvania. Please, Mr. Congressman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I represent the dealer body. I'm a dealer, and there's some other dealers in here, but this is huge for the dealer body, local car dealer. We're going to be able to sell what the customer wants, and manufacturer's going to need what the customer wants. We've got all kinds of options to the big bill. It's going to need people, as we talked about, to deduct payments and so forth. As we say in the business, they've never been cheaper than they are today, Mr. President. And it's going to be a great opportunity for the dealer body to sell what consumers want. And 99% of the businesses in America are small businesses. Many are car dealers, employ a lot of people. It's going to be a great year for us. We appreciate your leadership, and we appreciate, from a retail standpoint, we appreciate the manufacturers going to step up and build cars that customers want and that we want to sell. So thank you very much. Thanks to a great country.
He's also a very brave congressman because he was there on the baseball field that horrible day with Steve Scalise and some other people. He was hit, but he took it very well. He took it very well. You're my pal.
Thank you.
Thanks. Great job.
Appreciate it.
Great job. Appreciate it. Kevin, did you say a few words of wisdom? One of the really smart economic forecasters, I will tell you, beyond an economist. He's a real forecaster. Please.
Sir, I think that there's a massive macroeconomic benefit to what we're doing today. And the way to think about it is that the car that has the best gas mileage that you can buy, that has only gasoline, is a Honda. I think that's about 36 miles per gallon. Joe Biden wanted to make every car on average be above 50. So there's no car made in the U.S. that you would be able to sell 2 years from now, 3 years from now, under that rule. Because what he wanted to do was make everybody have an electric car, as you know. But here's the thing, if everybody had an electric car, then nobody would be buying gasoline anymore, and they'd have to take all the miles that they travel and put it on the grid. And so we would have to increase the production of electricity in the U.S. by 25% over the next couple of years if they had their way. And so you've really stopped a massive disruption for the economy with this kinds of things.
And that wasn't the main reason, and yet it certainly is a main reason. You wouldn't have been able to do it even if you wanted it. It's just so crazy. That was the mandate, which we ended. Troy, would you like to say something?
Great honor, thank you. My family's a former dealer, 48 years, Chrysler Dodge dealer. And then I got into the political world, sir. I had more fun in the dealership world, but I miss it. But I still play a big role in automobiles and grateful. I remember under President Obama, when the campaign standards changed, as Mike brought up, and went through this challenging times. As a Chrysler dealer, before Stellantis came along, it was Daimler before you could. So thank you very much for being here and making these changes and as you said, that interest on the car loan piece, I know that Bernie led the charge on that, he said it and get into one big beautiful bill. That really is a big deal, and people need to understand how big a deal that is.
You did a great job. And by the way, we had a great victory last night. Going to all it's going to be a great congressman. I think really, like us, right?
Yeah, like us.
One of my early endorsements, right?
Yes, sir.
Can we talk about it? You're right there. Let me say hello to you. Please.
Thank you, Mr. President, for your leadership. But the thing I've admired most, you've been in business, you've been in the battles over the years, and you're helping us lead us out. Most people that are up here have no idea about business or small business. It makes a big difference. And one is, two is, I would just say in terms of the tax we're talking about, one of the things that get missed, I'm in Florida, Sarasota region, is the ability to deduct. Most people have a small business, or have a long business, or this, that, and buy a used truck. They can take that deduction, let's say they're in a 20% tax bracket, the vehicle's 60 grand, they can take 20% of 60 grand, get a $12,000 write-off. They can pay their payments for the first year. That's a powerful tool we don't talk about, I don't know why, but at the end of the day, because of what you put in place, full expensing, that's the tool they would use. And you could just think about all the people in Florida, just general places, that